It means I need to make it ready, like I need to design the player outside it, make it look, have the right navigations, make it look good eventually, and also then we'll go to the publish. So whenever we want to design a wrapper around our course, we always go to the player. And this player has all the navigation options as well. So we'll go to the player. This kind of a window would pop up. You have a few options on the top. We'll go one by one. But the first one is the appearance. Basically, you have two types of players. You have a modern player or a classic player. You need to decide which player do you want onto your learning. So I can just put a classic player here. So classic player is something that I showed you on this one as well. This is a classic player. And a few samples that I showed you earlier had modern player. So let me just show that again. So this one here is a modern player, which is more responsive than the classic player.
There are a number of factors to
this one. So if I kind of squeeze them down, you'll see that the player is responsive. So it adjusts the previous next, does not squeeze in size. This works fine on any screen size. I also have a menu, so you can use the menu. Now that's the difference between a modern. Modern is a responsive player, okay? And if I go to my classic player, you see everything kind of just adapts to itself. It's adaptive, it's not responsive. Everything squeezes. So I'm barely able to see the next previous, but in this case, I'm able to at least see the previous and next buttons and the navigation, which is responsive. So if you're confused between what player to choose, you can always decide basis the functionalities here. Let's go back to our story, and you can either choose a classic player or a modern player. So with a raise of hand and your choices, what player would you like to use in your kind of a course? So just put that in the chat window and we'll discuss that player. Modern up ahead. Oh, great. So we have the modern player coming in. And Shabin also has an example. So can you please show one example for branching? So if you want to see the example of branching, we'll probably, take it offline. I'll show that to you separately. But we have less time in hand. So probably I'd like to cover the player and the publish, basically uncover it. And if we have time for branching, we'll do it in the last part of the session. I'll take it offline with you. If anybody else wants to understand it, probably I'll create some small video and share it with you. Okay, I'll change my player style and I'll change that to a modern one. Now I need to decide if your modern player needs to have menus and controls or not. So if I make that off, all the menu and controls will go off. You just see the slide. Now this is helpful when you're creating everything as a custom option, like a previous next button or a menu, and all of that is customized onto your slide. Just like we saw with the help of buttons, you can create them. So if you are creating anything custom, you can create, have menus and controls off, or you can keep them on in case you're using the default ones. Now, when you're using default menu and controls, let's start with the features option. And in the features, you have an option for the menu checkbox. So if I keep on the menu would be there. If I check that off, it would go away. So if I check that on, you see it on the left hand side, it kind of collapsed. It's basically the sidebar. So if I can keep it on or off, then I have the glossary. So if I want to add a glossary in terms of terms and definitions, I can turn that on. So that's the glossary. And when I put some details here, it would appear here. And then I can also have notes appearing here. So I can have a notes panel where my transcript would appear. So we did see how you can enter notes on a slide. The similar notes are replicated in the notes panel. On the top bar, so that's the sidebar. Okay. On the top bar, you have the resources panel. So resources can have all important links and documents that you want to embed, and that appears here. Now, what if you want to create a custom button or any other button? So you can just simply go to this new tab or add option. If I click on it, I can give a name to it. Say I want to add a help button, okay? Or maybe say an exit button. And the action for exit is to exit the course. You have limited triggers here, so you can just define an action to exit the course. And when do you want that to happen? When the user clicks on it. So you can have other options as well. So now you see the exit button appears here. You can also move these sidebar options to the top bar. Say I want the notes in my top bar, not the sidebar. I can use these buttons here and move them to the top bar. And now you see the notes panel appearing here. That is how you can always, move things out, and all menu and glossary can also come out. But only 3 options can stay in the sidebar. Oh, that's surprising. Let me just add one more. Yeah, only 4 options can stay in the sidebar, not more than that. So you can only have 4 options here. So I'll take out the resources as well. So I'm going to have 2 options, menu and glossary here, and then resources, notes, and exit button here. If you want to reorder them, say you don't want the notes to be the second option, you want the notes to be the first option, you can always, shift it to the top or the bottom, and it will shift positions here. Then you have the title. So if you want to give a title to it, so this one's session 4. So I can give a title here. And then it asks me, where do you want the sidebar to be? Currently, it's on the left-hand side. If you want to move it to the right-hand side, you can say on right. So it appears on the right-hand side. Small difference between, the title and the top bar. So you will see a pipe in the center separating the topic and the top bar items. There's this option called a sidebar starts collapse, which means whenever you launch the course, your sidebar will always be collapsed. So if you don't want that, so in the course that we saw here, the sidebar was not collapsed. If you want to collapse it, you have to select this accordion to collapse it. But you can always keep that checked or unchecked basis your requirement. Also, the controls, you can have a volume control that's right here. So you can have a volume control here. You can search, add a search option. So if I have the menu, so sidebar open, if I click on search, the search appears on the sidebar. So if I click on the search, I can search anything from my project. So something related to drag. So it'll find it out for me, not in the preview here, but yes, you can have a search option here. And then you can have captions. So captions basically closed captions where you have CC button here to add subtitles in your course. We did see that on how to add captions. Then you can have a seek bar. Now seek bar can be like that. And you can separate it from a play and pause. If you don't want to play and pause, just a seek bar, you can just keep the play and pause off, but I can have the play and pause on as well. So you have a sequence down at the bottom. And then you can also add a logo. So if you want to add a logo, you can just check logo and click here to add a logo. Say my logo is in the sky. No, that's too huge. So this is the logo here. And you see that logo appearing here. If you think this is not good enough, you can click on the cross button, put another logo here. You have the articulate logo here. So you can have logos here. You can multiple logos, multiple types of logos, which I mean. And that's probably from the features point of view. Now, when we talk about features, there's individual entities as well, like the menu. So how to edit a menu is really important to know. So this is how your menu currently looks like, and this is exactly what you've created in your project. So if I want to delete a few items here, they won't delete it from the project, but from the menu. Say the test scene, I do not want all of these options to appear. So I can just click on this delete option here, and I don't want the test scene individual slides to pop up. If a person wants to jump to the test, just click on this test scene and he can jump there. And then if I want to add something or delete something, I can also do that. Delete we've seen. If I want to add something, I can just say I deleted the last. So this one I do not want, draw from Storyline Bank. Or I accidentally deleted the survey and I want to add it back. So I can just select this insert from project option, and I'll select the survey question and insert it here and it's back. Also, there's this option to expand and collapse these topics. So if you collapse them all together, they will always appear in a collapsed form in your project. So you see all of them collapsed, apart from the one you're running. So it will be appearing collapsed. Similarly, if you open them all, you see it kind of pops out. So you can have them collapsed, and that's a better way of representation because it's easier to see how many topics you have. And in the settings that we have here, in this additional options, you can always choose on how your menu is restricted. So you can choose three options. You can have a free navigation, or you can have a restricted navigation, or you can have a logged navigation. So restricted navigation, you can restrict the next previous buttons as well. And this would restrict the person from going to the next slide till the timeline ends. So in case there's interactivity or you have layers, it won't restrict that. That's something that has to be done manually with the help of variables, which would be something that we study, looking at in our next sessions after a while. And then you can have appearance. So you can wrap long menu item titles, which means if you have a long title, you can, if you click on wrap menu, long menu item titles, it will kind of wrap it down. You can show a tooltip on hover. In case you're not wrapping, you can show a tooltip on hover. You can auto collapse the menu as learner progresses, which means, okay, I'll change that to free. If I, progress to these three slides, it will auto collapse itself. This means this will, close down. So if I am done with this would go up and collapse itself. You can also add number entries into the menu automatically. So if you want numbers, numeric entries, you can just press number, click on OK, and it will kind of add those numeric entries here. So you see these numbers now. 13 and the. Now these numbers have no relation with what numbers of you have in the story file. It's just for the menu and representation purpose. If you want to rename a few slides, you can rename them as well. Say, this is the guided video, guide video, whatever. So you can rename them here by double clicking on it. And if you want to add sections, so you can create a new heading kind of a thing here. It's a new heading, and this one's the screen recording. Now that's a heading, and that is something that's appearing as a child of the video scene. I don't want that. So I can move them up, and now it's appears here, which is like a second topic here. I don't want that as a second topic. So I probably, have the numbers off. That's a heading, which can be categorized into two sections. I'll have another heading here that's quizzing. So I have a section called as quizzing, under which there's kayak quiz, and then I have a section called as screen recordings, under which we have different modes that we published. So you can create headings within your menu as well. And if in case you want to change the parent and children relationship here, say currently the parent is view scene and it has 10 children in terms of 3.1 to 3.10. Now, if I want to make them an individual parent, I can. So if I use these buttons to promote and demote them, so if I promote it up, it becomes an individual parent, and I can reorder it and say put it here. And if I want to demote it back again, I can demote it and move it back to where it was. I can demote other options, so I can demote it to 3 levels. I cannot demote it further. Yeah, so that's the 3 levels I was talking about. So you can have 3 different levels when you're talking about promotion and demotion. So I'll bring that back. And that's how you can modify your player. So I just collapse this scene, and that's how my player would look like. Now, going to the resources tab. In the resources tab, okay, one thing I forgot to tell you, in the settings, you have this logged option and restricted option. Now, when I'm saying restricting the menu, it means a person cannot access the menu going further as well. So he can always go back from the menu, but he cannot proceed ahead in the course with the help of the menu. And if it is logged means then it's only for, just for viewing, just for representation purpose. A person cannot access, the previous and the next buttons, as well as the menu for moving ahead, so navigating in the course. There's this button called as reset. So if you want to reset the complete thing, you can press this button and it will reset all the menu settings. I don't want to do that. In fact, I'll just make them collapse. And then I'll go to the resources tab. So in the resources, you can add additional links. So that's the resources tab that you see here. Or you can add some important documents. To do that, you can click here, to start adding resource items, or you can also click on this add button. Say I want to put in a file, so I'll go ahead and browse a file for this. In the workshop files that I've given you these files. So in the resources tab, you have, say, I want to, okay, not in the resources, in the classroom exercise, session 3 and 4. I have this history of kayak that I want to embed. So I just press OK. And that's the history of kayak. It automatically takes the title of the document. You just press save. You see the PDF has been embedded into the resources folder. I'll have another one. So this one's going to be a URL. So say I want to jump to a URL, and that's going to be the URL. So that's the URL, which is for the kayak shop. I'll copy the URL and I'll paste it here. And I can test it as well. So it takes me to the website. Then I can change the title. So I can just give it, and I'll click on save. So I have two links. I can keep on adding more stuff to it, and it will create a scrolling panel for me. And I can have more things coming up here. Now, there's a description on the top, which is here are some useful links and documents. So if you want to change the description, you can change the description here as well. And then there's the glossary. Now, glossary is where you can add terms and definitions. I can click here to start adding terms and definitions. I have this document here which has the glossary terms. Now, there's a long requested, or I say highly demanded feature that people are asking for, which is, can we upload a document into the glossary and it can act like, it will automatically take the terms. So Arcla is working on that, but for now, you need to put the term and the definition separately. So I'll put the term here, and then I'll copy the definition. You can put the definition here. I click on save. So it creates a glossary and a term, and it's appearing in the glossary as well. Now, similarly, it works alphabetically. So if I add another one here, so that it appears in an alphabetical order. So if I want to search something, so probably it should search from the glossary as well. So I add something from down below. What's a white walker? Sorry, the white water. And I can just put it here, save it, it appears here. I go up, something from so once I click on save, it should probably adjust itself in the alphabetical order, and there you go. So I have these appearing here, and this just looks fine to me. Now we've chosen the player style, and we've chosen the menu and controls as on. What if we want to change the color and effects on it? So there are two possible colors that you can use, which is a theme, basically a dark theme or a light theme. If I use a light theme, it would appear something like this, which is like white, and this is the dark theme. So if I'm using a light theme, I need to change the logos or something accordingly. The distance is not appearing, so I can like change the logo. Or it is stuck. Okay. And then you can also choose the accent color. In my case, it's like a green. So with the raise of hands quickly, you can type in what color do you like. I'll kind of keep that. So if you want a white light theme or a dark theme, what's your choice? Okay, dark, one for light. Okay. So we keep the dark one here. That's what people like it here. Okay, I kept the dark theme. I'll have to change the logo again. So I'll just add the white one and wait for it to update. and yes, you have the logo. So we've chosen the theme. Now we can choose an accent color. So accent color is all about, if you click on the resources, sorry, if you you see there's the accent color everywhere in our course. The seek bar also has this accent color. The volume button has an accent color. If I want to change that, I can change that. So I can choose a certain accent color, which would be uh, change everywhere in the course. You can change the player font. So if you want a font which is quite dramatic, you can kind of put any kind of font into the player. Now this is kind of a very dramatic font, not even visible. So I'll change this something like a Roboto Light or a bolder version here. Yeah, that looks fine. You can also choose the player font size. So if you want to decrease or increase the font size, so you can. So Deepa has a question: can we show the logo directly on the screen? So if you want to show it on the screen, you'll have to put it on the slide. And if you're using a slide master, so you'll have to have a definite background. If you put it on the slide master, the problem with slide masters is that it takes it up in the background. So if you put anything on top of it, it will overlay it and hide the logo. So what we do is we generally create a top band or something, which is not very creative, but we have to do that because that's a requirement from most of the clients who have a logo and the heading band. So we do that, but I recommend if we can use it in the player, it gives us more space on the slide. So currently what you see is the sidebar being collapsed, but if the sidebar is open always, you'll always see that on the screen, just like I showed you on this sample here. So it's open and the course is running here. You're always seeing the logo here. So I think you get more space on the slide and you get more layouting freedom when you kind of have it all sorted on the left hand side. Does that help? Okay. So I just chose a theme, I chose the font, and then in the current effect, I make that 75%, I'll make that 100 again. And I can also choose the captions font. I can change the captions font. So basically, if I have CC fonts, I can make it to something else. I'm using Roboto Black, so I'll use Roboto Condensed for it. And try and keep that from the same family of fonts. And then how do you want the navigation, buttons styles to be? So you can choose from, it can be an icon. It can be an icon and text like a previous and next, or you can just be the text. So you have three options here. You can choose from all of these three options. Say I choose icon in text, so I want both of it. And that's probably it. And then there's option of text labels. So you can, if you want to change a certain label, so you do not want to call resources as resources. Okay, you want to change the label. So you can go here anytime and find the resources in the alphabetical order. Resources tab, I want to rename this as, say, handouts. So my resources tab would change to handouts. And okay, it will update in a while. Also, if you want to change the menu and call it a, say, outline or something, you can do it here. Menu tab, you call that the outline. Now there are many more options that are available here in the button, text labels, which are by default as well. So whenever you attempt a quiz, there's a prompt coming in, resume. All of that is just here, so you can, edit it here. And you can also choose the language of your text labels. So there's a huge list of the language you want to use. You also have Hindi. If you want to import your text labels, so you can have an XML file that you can import, or if you made some changes, you can save them in an XML file, and you can export it, and then say make edits in other languages or something, and then bring it here, and it would import the text XML into the right places. I'll say update preview, and now it's handouts, and my menu is known as the outline. I can go to the other options. Now, other options help you set the bookmarking, which is the resume feature. So you can prompt to resume, always resume, or never resume. So if you use prompt to resume, it will ask you, do you want to resume the course or not? So in a modern player, you always see the prompt would look something like this. So let me just refresh and show it to you. So it will look something like this, saying resume or restart. In case of a classic player, the resume feature would look something like this, saying, would you like to resume where you left off? So that's where what you see in a prompt to resume kind of a scenario. If you say always resume, it will always resume from the point it and then if you choose never resume, it will never resume and always start from the beginning. So I choose prompt to resume for now. And you can decide if your text is read from left to right or right to left. So you can choose the way your text is read. So everything will go to the right to left. Say you see next and previous going this way. So next is on the left. And then you have the text changing from right to left. So you can change the complete orientation of your course as well. I'll keep that. So if you're building like Arabic courses or something that needs left to right to left orientation, you can change that. And that is where you build a good, nice player for yourself.